Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me, as always, F. Scott to my Fitzgerald, co-host extraordinaire, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how are you doing, buddy?
I am tired, Garrett. I am so tired of Billies.
Yeah, what Billy are we talking about this week?
Same Billy as last week, Garrett. Green Day's 2004 album and Broadway musical, American Idiot. This was suggested by Carlos the Army Trucker, Melanie, Daniel, Jacob, a different Jacob, someone named Tim who is not me, a couple other people that I didn't write down.
This is the third week in a row you and I are talking about Billies, and I'm fucking sick of it.
While we're on the subject of Billies, I have a small correction from last week. Not only did Green Day have to add John Phillips as an author to 21 Guns to avoid presumably a lawsuit, they also had to add David Bowie due to the similarity of 1972's All the Young Dudes, written by Bowie and originally recorded by Mott the Hoople.
Oh, yeah. Back to the Billy at hand, Tim, and more specifically Green Day's American Idiot. Tim, do you hate this album?
I do. I hate this album.
Woo.
This is terrible.
Hot out the gate.
What about you? Do you hate this?
Absolutely.
All right, so we can just be done now.
God, we really could save everybody a lot of heartache and just skip to the end where we still hate it. Tim, I am curious, before we talk any more about this album, is this the first time your day has been greened?
No, last week was the first time my green has been dayed.
That's not true.
No, I was a fan pre-99. I had Kerplunk, Dookie, I had Nimrod on CD at one point. I've heard a smattering of their music after that. What about you, though? Is this the first time you've been an American Idiot?
No, sadly. I've heard the title track of this album, but I don't think I'd heard anything else from it. And as we covered last week, I was a huge fan of Dookie and then became half as much of a fan of Green Day every year from that point to now. Thus bringing me to General Apathy, I guess?
I was at General Apathy 8 days ago, and now I'm at Rage. Rage and Disgust.
Fair, Tim. That's your history, that's mine. But to better understand the album, we need to understand the men that created it. So take us on a journey, Tim. Help us understand the history that is Green Day.
Green Day is mostly Billy Joe Armstrong, aka Wilhelm Fink, who was born in Oakland and raised in the East Bay region. Notably, he did not spend any time in a working-class London neighborhood, despite his stupid voice. He had an early interest in music. Allegedly, he recorded his first song at 5 years old, and then he met future bassist Mike Dirnt in elementary school.
It's weird to say that he recorded his first song, because I also had a tape recorder. Did I record my first song at 5?
Yes.
Maybe even 4. Tim, I may have preceded Green Day. Is there a chance Green Day ripped me off?
Well, you're much older than Billy Joe Armstrong.
That is not true. Certainly. That is not true. He is considerably older than me.
Well, then no.
He is
your story doesn't check out.
That's a good point. Okay.
He met future bassist Mike Dirnt in elementary school, and at 14 years old in 1986, the two formed an Albert Fish cover band called Sweet Children.
Oh my God.
You mentioned that last week.
I didn't call it that. Don't Google Albert Fish.
Or do.
I know you want to. Many of you out there know what I'm talking about, and many of you don't. Those of you in the latter camp, please, I urge you. I meant it with the Shave Bears. We definitely meant it with Mr. Hands. But for the love of God, do not Google Albert Fish.
Google it.
You are a bad influence.
Find out who Albert Fish is. Fucked me.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
Yes.
Continue.
William Joseph's older brother and better brother, Tim, was a vocalist and guitarist for Operation Ivy and later the punk band Rancid. So he grew up in, I guess, kind of a musical household. But Green Day started performing, again, they were not called Green Day at the time, around California. They were signed to indie label Lookout Records in 1988 after Larry Livermore saw them at an early show. They recorded an EP called 1,000 Hours. Then they dropped the name Sweet Children to avoid confusion with Sweet Baby.
Another terribly named band.
Yeah. And then they took the name Green Day, which is somehow a reference to pot because both are green, I guess.
Hilarious.
They released their debut album in 1990. Then they released 2 EPs later that year. Then they went on a nationwide tour, after which their original drummer, John Cliffmeyer, left to go to college, and they picked up Trey Cool. And Garrett mentioned that Trey Cool is in fact his real name. His actual real name is Frank Edwin Wright III, because I do the research.
And I lie out of convenience.
They released Kerplunk in 1991, and then they toured the US and Europe in 92 and 93, part of which they were a supporting act for Bad Religion on their Recipe for Hate tour. Then Kerplunk sold about 50,000 copies initially, but it did get them a major record label deal with Reprise Records, Records.
Reprise?
It's Reprise, apparently.
No. According to who?
It's apparently Reprise.
Okay. I'm going to trust you here because you got that other guy's real name, so I'm going to assume it's Reprise.
They recorded Dookie in 3 weeks and released that in 94. It was a huge success, mostly due to MTV. Then they had a riot at a Boston show in 1994, leading to 100 injuries and 45 arrests. They played Lollapalooza and Woodstock 94, during which a security guard thought Mike Dirnt was a fan that had jumped on stage despite him presumably playing bass, and so he punched out a bunch of his teeth.
Yeah, I think they were covered in mud.
That makes sense. That concert was viewed by millions of people on pay-per-view, and it pushed Dookie out to an even bigger audience and to more success.
Wow, that's not a thing anymore, right? Oh, yeah, the internet.
Yeah, well, you still have fights and shit.
Oh, sure. No, I just mean a pay-per-view concert sounds insane.
Oh, I don't know, yeah. Dookie would eventually go on to sell over 20 million copies worldwide and just over 10 million copies in the US.
It was double diamond.
It's not. It's single diamond because that's only in the US.
Oh, fuck you, man. Come on. What's with the technicalities, officer?
Hey, man.
They sold 20 million. It's still quite a feet.
Absolutely. But I looked
what's
it
the
up
international standard for 20 million albums?
Nothing. It's
Double
country by
Hatma?
country.
Well, we need something like The Hague to sort this out.
We absolutely do need The Hague to solve our Green Day problems.
Who's in charge there?
The Dutch.
Oh, well, you know what?
Maybe. I don't know. I think it's in
You know
Brussels.
a lot about The Hague.
I do know a lot about The Hague.
You don't know one thing, where it is.
It's in Central Europe. Asia. Africa? South America. Exact South Pole. Anyway, Insomniac was released in 1995. Then they went on a brief hiatus in 1996 when they put together Nimrod, including Good Riddance, which would go on to be played at every single high school graduation and funeral service for the next 22 years.
Good Lord. The entire senior year of high school, it was just every fucking assembly. I don't care.
Why was every assembly a graduation at your high school?
Some were funerals.
Oh, that makes sense. And then they released Warning featuring future Why I Hate This album prepisode Minority in 2000 and did the Warped Tour that same year. That album only ended up being certified gold. I think it's still their lowest selling album. 2 compilation albums followed, International Super Hits and a B-side collection called Shenanigans. And then they co-headlined the Pop Disaster Tour with Blink-182 in 2002.
Man, it's amazing. I know we're going to get into it in the history, but we all know that American Idiot was much more successful than those albums. There's very few artists that have a huge rise to fame and then the very much expected decline, only to turn it around and possibly become more famous.
Yeah, it's very strange. They did have a pretty huge second wind.
And arguably with considerably less impressive quality.
If you go back and listen, I can't say those early albums were of good quality necessarily, but they were fun. 2003 was a weird year for Green Day. They recorded music for the album Cigarettes and Valentines, but probably not really. The master tapes were stolen from the studio, again, probably not really. And once the thief found out what was on them, they just discarded them or destroyed them or whatever. Then the band decided to just forget the whole project. Again, probably not really, because this thing never existed. This is all lies.
It has to be, because if somebody truly did steal those songs, they would be on the internet right now.
Unless they just destroyed them because they were garbage. I mean, even if they were garbage, they would probably end up on the internet. Also the same year, a new band called The Network was signed to Billy Joseph's record label. They began playing with masks to conceal their identities, as well as publicly feuding with Green Day. Making this story much more interesting was that all 3 members of Green Day were cited as songwriters on the Network's album. Also, it was very obvious that the band's vocals were delivered by Billy Joe. They refused to admit that it was clearly them until Mike Dirnt mentioned it offhand in a 2013 interview. So those assholes attempted to pull a simultaneous Chris Gaines Slipknot combo on us, and just no one cared.
Yeah, pretty much. Did you see the other Green Day band that isn't Green Day but is Green Day?
I did. I didn't write anything down about it.
I think they're the Foxborough Hot Tubs.
That sounds
I
right.
watched like a 40-minute set last night. Not bad.
So around this time, Armstrong announced to Dirnt and Trey Cool that he wanted to quote-unquote write the Bohemian Rhapsody of the future, talking about what would become American Idiot. Word leaked that they were working on this project, and their fans were not particularly pleased and wrote a bunch of shit on their message boards, so they took the message boards down. They said, "We decided we were going to be the biggest, best band in the world or fall flat on our faces." BJ also went to New York City for a while to get cultured, and he made the rest of the band listen to a bunch of show tunes of musicals to get in the mood for this.
I'm sorry, have you been calling him BJ this whole time?
No, I've been switching it up and will continue to do so.
God damn it.
He said the atmosphere can be anti-Bush, and I definitely had that in mind, but when you get down to it, it's a human story. It's not your business who I vote for. I don't have a million things against conservatives. Johnny Ramone was a very nice guy, but a total fucking Republican. I still like the guy. That's where it gets screwed up. If someone believes one thing, it turns into us against them. This album is about feelings. I didn't want to make a Rage Against the Machine record. I wanted to make an album of heartfelt songs.
Fail.
2004 saw the release of American Idiot, intended to depict modern American life under the control of an idiot ruler, and it was also intended to rock the vote and make sure Bush didn't win a second term, which of course he did. American Idiot won the 2005 Grammy Award for Best Rock Album, and that's really the goal. They did a huge tour for this album, then they went on semi-hiatus for the next 5 years before coming back with 21st Century Breakdown, and then it was time to do the American Idiot stage show, which opened on Broadway in 2010.
Tim, you know that's still touring the world?
Oh, absolutely. I've seen it every time it comes through Austin. I don't know if it's ever come through Austin.
I haven't seen it.
Green Day also did a soundtrack album for that. Then they released Uno Dos Tres. They also did a documentary about the making of that classic trilogy called Quattro.
That's obnoxious. I had never heard of those 3 albums until we did the research last week. I mean, is it like 36 songs?
Something like that, yeah.
Who wants that much Green Day?
The world, Garrett.
The world. Happy peanut soda over chocolate-covered mountaintops and waterfalls of caramel. Prancing nougat in the meadow sings a song of satisfaction to the world. To the world. Fuck me. Hey, come on, man. That was a beautiful moment we shared.
They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2015, and then they did a show as Sweet Children with John Cliffmeyer, possibly an attempt to get that guy to kill himself.
Yeah, I think so. This is what you could have had.
They released a Christmas song, and then they released Revolution Radio in 2016, and then in 2019, they released their Woodstock 94 performance on vinyl. They did a tour with Fall Out Boy and Weezer, and their next album, Father of All Motherfuckers, will be released in 2020.
They did a tour with Weezer and Fall Out Boy.
Yes.
I assume they headlined, right?
I'm sure.
What do you think? Weezer opens or Fall Out Boy opens? Who
Fall
opens
Out
that
Boy.
show? Really?
Yeah. You know what? I don't have any fucking idea.
Fight to the death. Weezer v Fall Out Boy. I'm going Fall Out Boy.
Absolutely. That goddamn Rivers Cuomo. That guy can't fight.
Rivers Cuomo v 3 7-year-olds.
Are any of them Asian?
Oh, Jesus Christ. No.
Okay, well then I think the children clearly win.
Yeah, they would beat him to death. Does that bring us pretty much up to date?
Yep.
Fantastic history, Tim. Let's get into some general thoughts.
We should start by saying Green Day is not a band. They are a teen money extraction scheme. A group of people that are making a product specifically designed to appeal to an audience that is 20 years younger than they are. It's kind of the same argument we brought up with Blink-182 about it being creepy that they're singing about teens and shit. But Green Day is significantly older than Blink-182 was in 1999. This is a very cynical attempt to make money off of dissent. But again, it's on Reprise / Warner Music Group. It's alongside Josh Groban. It's a fucking Broadway musical. It is disingenuous at best. That being said, there really is no better way to effectively stage a protest than with a tens of millions of dollar Broadway musical. I think Andrew Lloyd Webber taught us that.
Truth to power, Tim. Now, I just want to circle back to something really quick. Forgive me. We haven't had dinner at Grobes' house in like months.
Well, you haven't.
Yeah, I said we haven't.
Oh, sorry,
have you guys been having dinners?
Yeah, we have them every Sunday night. Where do you think I go on Sunday nights?
You're having weekly Groban dinners.
Yes.
Is he playing piano?
No, he just sings a cappella. I mean, again, he sings everything he speaks to me, so I guess technically he only sings.
Right. Yeah. He would fit well into the American Idiot musical. I read it's what's known as a sung-through musical, meaning there is little to no dialogue spoken. It's all sung.
He would fit well into that, yeah.
I have to go to the bathroom. I have terrible diarrhea.
Do you...
I don't. Okay. No. That was a joke.
Yeah, you were groping.
I was grobaning. So is there any reason I'm not getting the invite?
Oh, he hates you.
Oh, come on.
It's just festering with him, Garrett.
I apologized.
I know you did. I don't know if he got your apology.
You were the one that was supposed to tell him.
You're right. I do know if he got your apology, and he did not.
We'll take it off,
I hurled wine in his face, and I said, that's from Garrett. I don't know what he meant.
That is the opposite of what I wanted.
Yep.
Is it the wine I gave you to give him?
It was, yes.
God damn it. And I assume you claimed it as your own.
No. I said that he asked me to come here, take this nice bottle of wine, and then I poured us 2 glasses. I took both glasses, and I threw both in his face. And I said,
damn it,
I don't
dude.
know. I apologize. That's not me. That's from Garrett. He made me promise to do this. He said he wanted to, and then I did the quotey fingers. Apologize.
That is a $200 Chablis, and the quotey fingers were not needed. Okay, Tim, I want to reveal something to you, something special. Gino, please take out the box. Producer Gino is getting a box here.
It's not the yellow shoebox, right? The one that I'm supposed to destroy if you die.
Right. No, not that one. Anyway, Tim. So Gino, you'll notice that there are 2 hand-shaped holes in the side of that box. I would like you to please put your hands in the box. Okie doke. All right.
Oh, God, I'm so scared.
Swearing. But
how many snakes are in that box?
There are no snakes in that box.
Badger.
Nope. Okay. That's a small box, Tim.
I don't know how big a badger is.
That's correct. No, Tim, that box is full of bees.
Oh, God.
Gino will keep his hands in that box of bees for the entire duration of the show. Should he remove his hands from the box of bees, Tim, I will read a Green Day fun fact.
You know how allergic to bees you are. If he removes his hands, it's just going to be a stream of bees, and they know who put them in that box.
It's a risk I'm willing to take. Gino, do not take your hands out of that box. If he does, Tim, I will read a Green Day fun fact. I have assembled numerous lengthy and detailed fun facts. I, of course, do mean that Gino put it together, so God only knows what's in there.
It's going to be so many Hep C facts.
I swear to God, if one of the fun facts is that Steven Tyler has hepatitis C, I'm going to pour that box all over your head.
For the record, though, officially, just so we get it out there, Steven Tyler does have Hep C.
Tim, Steven Tyler has $86,000. He does not have hepatitis C.
Oh, but I don't know if his liver can take that treatment. It is rough on your body.
Tommy Lee was able to do it.
Tommy Lee's a young man, Garrett.
Okay.
Comparatively.
We are way off base here.
Fair enough.
All right, Gino, keep the hands in the box. We will keep an eye out, and hopefully I don't have to read a single one of these Gino-sourced fun facts. Back to the matter at hand. If this is a thematic album, a rock musical soundtrack to get me excited about revolution, rebellion, and fighting the power, this fails in every measurable way. It's wildly inconsistent. It deviates to love stories between fictitious people with terrible names that we will discuss. But it is almost impossible to glean any sort of single through line in this entire fucking album. And I would argue, Tim, you and I have put together far better concept albums, nay musicals, with other people's music years after they released it than these assholes did on purpose.
Absolutely. And I can give you at least a partial reason why you felt that way.
Why is that?
They did not finish this rock opera.
What do you mean?
Let me read here the description of this.
Oh, shit. Hold on. I'm sorry. I saw it.
God damn it. No.
Sorry, Tim. I apologize. Don't lose your place.
Steven Tyler has hepatitis C.
Fun fact number 2678441. Both Joey and Jacob Armstrong, sons of Billy Joe Armstrong, are budding musicians. Joey plays drums for punk band Swerms, originally Emily's Army, whose 3 of their albums were produced by, guess it, Billy Joe, and released on his Adeline Records label. Jacob is a singer, songwriter, and guitarist, and released his first tracks in 2015 under Jacob Danger.
Oh,
Danger
I like that.
is his middle name. It actually is his middle name.
Oh, so he's got sort of a pirate thing going on.
Okay. Further, further, in 2011, Billy Joe Armstrong formed a band with his wife and 2 sons called The Boo and released a self-titled EP that same year that I am sure no one has ever heard.
I don't think your fun facts should get to be 6 paragraphs long.
I told you they were lengthy. That's the shortest one I will read today.
Back to the matter at hand. The reason this feels like it maybe doesn't make sense to you and you can't get to the bottom of it is that there is no bottom of it. To read here, American Idiot is a concept album that describes the story of a central character named Jesus of Suburbia, an anti-hero created by Billy Joe Armstrong. It was written from the perspective of lower middle-class suburban American teens raised on a diet of soda pop and Ritalin. Jesus of Suburbia hates his town and those close to him as he leaves for the city. The second character is St. Jimmy, a swaggering punk rock freedom fighter par excellence. What's her name? A Mother Revolution figure is introduced as the nemesis of St. Jimmy in the song She's a Rebel. The album's story is largely indeterminate as the group was unsure of where to lead the plot's third quarter. In this sense, Armstrong decided to leave the ending up to the listener's imagination. So what has happened here is that he couldn't figure out how to finish it, and so he's just like, oh, it'll just be like a vague ending. I'll leave it open-ended.
How does it end, Billy? How do you think it ended? Okay, well, I actually feel a little better now. There's no excuse for that. They're professional musicians, so that's ridiculous. Listen, when I was writing Tim Bortley in the Transhumanist Android Uprising of 2099, had I not had a third act, you know what I would have done?
Not written it?
Well, I can't not write it, Tim. If I got to the second act...
fair, but not presented it to an audience.
I'd have put it in the fucking garbage. I'd have thrown that whole laptop in there. You and I are doing this for practically no money. Well, I'm doing it for no money. You seem to be paid handsomely by sponsors that never write me a check, but...
I am doing
and they're
quite
out there
well.
Making millions.
Yeah, I'm making millions. Not millions. Like, at the end of the show, I will have made millions from this, yes. And you know what I'm going to use it for, Garrett?
Torturing me?
I am going to use it on lawyers to trap you into a situation in which you have no choice but to live in a single room with me forever.
I can't imagine how you could possibly make that happen.
They're lawyers, Garrett. They can do anything they want. Look at Giuliani.
America's mayor.
Yeah. Conceptually, this album is a huge ripoff of The Who's Quadrophenia and or Tommy.
Well, there's no boy rape.
We don't know that. It can end any way you want, Garrett.
You know what? I have not seen Tommy in 20 years.
Yeah, it probably doesn't end like that. This is just something.
No, there's a rape.
Nope.
There's a rape in Tommy. Listeners, let us know. Is there...
Please don't.
We're joking.
I couldn't help but think, as I listened to this, Billy Joe and the gang, they must be so happy that Bush got reelected. Because this came out 1.5 months before the election in 2004. If Kerry would have won, this would have had a 1.5-month shelf life. But I think this benefited a lot from that.
Conversely, had they not released it, do you think John Kerry wins the election?
Yes.
Interesting.
Did your version of this album have a bunch of songs that were on the same track for some reason? And not like the suites.
There's multiple tracks that have just 2 songs on it.
Like Holiday and Boulevard of Broken Dreams are on the same track for some reason. There's 2 problems with this. One is that some of these songs do not have anything to do with each other. They don't sound alike. There's this big gap in the middle, and it's real weird. And the other scenario that happens quite a bit on here is where you can't tell that it's 2 different songs. It just highlights the fact that Green Day songs a lot of the time are just indistinguishable from one another.
All right, Tim, we've kind of beaten on it pretty hard here. Anything nice to say?
I have a compliment, sure. Trey Cool and Mike Dirnt do a pretty good job of drum bassing.
Yeah, they play good instruments, especially the drumming.
They should not write songs, though. I will say this. At some point, they begin writing songs, and it becomes very clear why Billy Joe Armstrong has the majority of the songwriting duties. They are not good at that.
Yeah.
Also, I think this entire album is just an argument between a guy and either his imaginary friend that represents the cool guy he would like to be, or an argument with just 2 separate personalities vying for control over their shared body.
Yes, we have definitely said that in previous episodes. Here, it's very convincing, although I will put forward an alternate theory, Tim. Perhaps rather than 2 personalities vying for control, we could have a very first here on the show, a becoming and then an unbecoming. The becoming is horrific to watch, but there is a majesty to it. The unbecoming is almost like watching somebody turn inside out. It's disgusting.
That makes sense because Jesus of Suburbia does seem to rid himself of St. Jimmy, and we will get into what that means. I realize it might be confusing if you haven't heard the album, but he does seem to get rid of him, and it implies that he maybe murders his other personality, like some sort of Tyler Durden.
Yeah, I think you just have to shoot a mirror.
Or the inside of your cheek.
Oh, right. That did happen. Conversely, Tim, we could have a situation where, I don't know, maybe some sort of nutty professor scenario, you know, walking around Jesus of suburbia, just a real regular mopester, and then maybe, I don't know, somehow he transforms into this debonair Saint Jimmy.
It's quite possible. It could also be a Dr. Dolittle scenario where Jesus of Suburbia has the ability to talk to animals, and St. Jimmy is just like a really cool lemur he met at the zoo. And at some point, yes, a lemur, at some point, he has to kill the lemur because the lemur is getting all the chicks and they're not leaving enough for him.
Lemur?
Yes. I know the cool animals, Garrett. Lemurs are right up there.
What are we talking about, Dr. There's nothing in this entire album that points to the possibility that St. Jimmy's a lemur.
Garrett, who knows the cool animals? You or me?
You.
Right. So I'm saying lemur's a cool animal.
And I'm saying it's not an animal. That's not what I'm saying. A lemur is an animal. I want to be clear about that. I'm saying that St. Jimmy is not an animal and therefore cannot be a lemur.
Fair enough.
You're a fool.
Stop saying that.
I can't. Oh, man. Do you hear that? What is that?
Oh, is it bees?
Shit.
It's bees.
It's bees. God damn it, Gino.
I want to be very clear here before you read this fact. I know how you feel. I hate this bit. I hate it. And I hate you. I hate you for doing this bit. It's terrible. You're an idiot.
This is really funny.
But there are bees in the apartment, so get those hands back in that box and read your goddamn fun fact. Not sponsored by Snopple, although I will mention Snopple here.
No, this is not about that. This is about pure, good, fun facts. Fun fact number 6625448. Mike Dirnt knows where you can get a good burger in the Bay Area. He holds an ownership stake in a restaurant called Rudy's Can't Fail Cafe in Emeryville. Now, I would have called it Dirnt's.
Yeah.
But in an interesting confluence of events, Tim, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, from time to time, my job required me in previous years to travel to various parts of the country in order to... What?
It doesn't matter. You're traveling around the country. You're getting rental cars. Go on.
That happened, sure. And I drove that rental car to, would you believe it, Rudy's Can't Fail Cafe in Emeryville. Now, if you don't know, folks, Emeryville is just across the bay from San Francisco. It's a lovely little community. You can find the Pixar is there, Bayer. In any event, I wasn't
Bayer,
working for
the World War II company?
People. Shh, the aspirin people. We started in 1990. We were never around in the 40s.
I'm horrified. Anyway, so you ate a Dirnt.
Yeah, I ate a Dirnt. What? What did you say?
You ate a Dirnt.
Welcome to Dirnt.
God damn it.
Anyway, yeah, Tim, when I was living in Emeryville, I went to Rudy's Can't Fail Cafe. I had absolutely no idea I was dining with Dirnt.
Dining with Dirnt?
I'll tell you what. Yeah, I know, right?
That's a good Travel Channel show. We should travel the country with Dirnt, eating at diners, drive-ins, dives.
Well, hold on. I think that last part might not work out. Well, is he on travel or is he on food?
I don't know. It doesn't fucking matter.
Diners, drive-ins, and dives and Dirnt's.
Yeah.
We have an extra D. Yep. Suck it, Fieri. Go get back into Smash Mouth. Might as well be walking on the sun.
This is devolving. Let's do the song by song.
Great. Track number 1, American Idiot.
Starts off strong, but that strong riff that opens this album is 100% stolen from Dillinger 4, Double Whiskey Coke No Ice, and they toured with Green Day in the 90s. I assume they got some money for this.
It's so egregious, they had to have. So Tim, there's some pretty harsh language in here. It caught me totally off guard. I've never heard this in here.
No, it's one of those, he says it quick, and it's not going to be the last time.
No, it isn't. We want to do the honors?
Sure, this is from verse 2. It's very critical of the U.S. He says, well, maybe I'm the faggot, America. I'm not part of a redneck agenda. Now everybody do the propaganda and sing along to the age of paranoia.
Now, Tim, to be fair, we did not warn anyone. There was no trigger warning there. So, post-trigger warning.
I think it's just supposed to mean outsider.
True, but not a fun fact, just a fact. He is also bisexual, apparently.
And has hep C.
No,
I don't know.
Okay, I was about to say, this show is over.
Billy Joe takes these political stances on this album, right? He's not singing about dookies anymore. He's taken, he's got these big ideas, but he's not very smart. Billy Joe said that he was inspired to write this after hearing the Lynyrd Skynyrd song, That's How I Like It, on the way to the studio. He said, it was like, I'm proud to be a redneck. And I was like, oh my God, why would you be proud of something like that? That's exactly what I'm against. I looked at the guys like, do you mind that I'm saying this? And they were like, no, we agree with you. And it started the ball rolling.
Okay.
He doesn't really have an actual point here.
It's a great opening line with a broad message that doesn't deliver because of a lack of genuinely good writing. However, I will say it is a catchy song that is worlds better than their previous few albums.
Yes, and it's worlds better than most of what's on this album.
Well, Tim, as long as we at least stay relatively on point about rebellion and the war on terror, I think we're going to be fine.
I just want to mention this song was frequently performed in a George W. Bush mask, and I honestly don't understand why. Is it difficult to tell who he's singing about? Maybe he thinks his audience is like real dumb. They're not getting it. This is about Bush. I can't rewrite the lyrics. It's already recorded and out there. I keep getting these letters being like, who's the American idiot? And I had to figure out a way to make it clear. Bush mask.
It's just constantly a letter being sent to him of just different people hate. Yeah, I fucking hate that purple dinosaur too. What?
I'm so thankful you took the time to finally get around to writing a song about what America would have been like if Al Gore was in charge. God damn it, I'm wearing a Bush mask.
The Lockbox is a leather-bound edition of the Count of Monte Cristo.
Track number 2, Jesus of Suburbia / City of the Damned / I Don't Care / Dearly Beloved / Tales of Another Broken Home.
I want to just clarify something for everyone who thinks Tim just had a stroke. This is one song broken out into multiple parts, all titled, and Tim just read all of the different acts within the song.
The overall thing is Jesus of Suburbia. It's a suite, I guess. It's a bunch of different fragments of songs. He kind of tried to Abbey Road this thing, and it just didn't work.
No, not even sort of. We quickly depart from talking about war and jingoism and turn our attention to a young man named Jesus. Not that Jesus. Jesus of Suburbia, who largely just seems to be a slacker.
He doesn't care for living in the suburbs.
Doesn't believe in things like religion, which is fine. I don't either. Which I guess is the irony of what makes him Jesus of Suburbia. Do you know?
Oh, I think his name is Jesus and he lives in Suburbia.
Oh, well, that sums it up nicely.
We start off in this song with this Jesus fella describing his upbringing. He says, I'm the son of rage and love, the Jesus of Suburbia, on a steady diet of soda pop and Ritalin. No one ever died for my sins in hell as far as I can tell, at least the ones I got away with. The description of his childhood, I'm going to make this reference a number of times. If you want this satirical or political stuff that's done in a punk rock way, just listen to Bad Religion, because that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
This particular description is basically 21st century digital boy. It's this, but with better nuance and irony and better musicianship and better singing and better writing. Yeah, it's just better.
In this song, the nihilist Jesus that we're following is a classic tale of suburban malaise. I'm curious, Tim, did this catch your ears or did mine?
Yes.
The living room on my private womb while my moms and Brads are away.
We get a Brad. There's a Brad in this song.
Who are the Brads?
I assume it is the tendency of kids to call a step-parent by their first name, but it's so goddamn perfect that he picked Brad. I just pictured this guy's stepfather coming home stinking a squid right from the boat, banging that mom in the other room, and then taking him out to get, I don't know, McDonald's
Captain
or
D's.
something.
No, it would be seafood related for sure, but it would also be like one step below Long John Silver's, which is, I mean, short of literally just putting your head in the Hudson, I think is Captain D's.
This also sounds very similar to a Ziggy Stardust era Bowie song. Did you notice that? It's a Moon Age Daydream. I listened to both. It is perfect. And the internet believes that later parts of this sound like Bryan Adams' Summer of 69.
Yes, all I could remember from Bryan Adams' Summer of 69 is got his first real six string. But it does sound identical.
Part 2 of this song, City of the Damned, this is a description of a shitty Oakland suburb hanging out at 7-Eleven.
I think this is where he starts doing drugs, maybe?
He also likes to read graffiti in the bathroom stall, which I would say is stupid, but that is how T.S. Eliot was discovered, so...
That is 100% true. I mean, technically it was an outhouse, let's be accurate. But, Tim, by and large, I've never understood people that were compelled to write graffiti in a bathroom. However, you and I have both seen and found for ourselves the best bathroom graffiti of all time. Do you remember that bathroom graffiti?
No.
You will remember it the moment I tell you where it occurred. Fred's Cafe. Little something about Quincy?
Quincy is a vagina face.
To this day, it haunts me, Tim. I don't know what it means.
Who's Quincy?
I don't know. What's a vagina face?
Oh, I know what it means, Garrett. Quincy, instead of having a face, he's got a head, but it's just got a big vagina on it.
That doesn't
But who is
happen.
Quincy?
No, that doesn't happen.
It could.
No, it could not.
Well, who wrote it then? Why would they write
Nobody knows. T.S. Eliot?
Very well could be. You know, I have nothing more to say. Quincy
really
has
petered out there.
A vagina face. That's
In
the
the
shirt. We can steal that.
That is the shirt. That's not trademark. Can't technically come after us. In part 3 of this song, I Don't Care, he begins saying, I don't care if you don't care. And usually, when you let other people know how much you don't care, it's an excellent way to let other people know how deeply you do.
Well, but Garrett, what if you shout, I don't care 21 times?
That does help. It's one of those things, Tim, where if you do something long enough, it becomes even funnier. So at first, they're like, okay, yeah, he doesn't care. And then he does it for a while, like, boy, I think this guy kind of cares a lot. And then if he just keeps going, well, no, it's just desperate and bad writing.
Maybe it's
Never
like
mind.
a Looney Tunes thing. If you say you don't care, it means you don't care. If you say it twice, you're back to caring. So as long as you end on an odd number, you don't care.
I think this is multiplication, not Looney Tunes. From the cradle to the grave, we are the kids of war and peace. From Anaheim to the Middle East, we are the stories and disciples of the Jesus of suburbia. Is he speaking to the creation of apathy and disenfranchisement of the youth?
Possibly.
I don't think so, dude. I think it's just nonsense.
I want to point out something here. He also says, we are the kids of war and peace. From Anaheim to the Middle East. That's not the same thing.
What do you mean?
Well, if you say somebody's from the Middle East and they are a child of war and peace, that means something. If you're going to say, oh yeah, he's in Anaheim, you know, experienced a lot of like war and peace and stuff. No.
Gang war?
I don't think so, man. That's also where Disney is.
Oh, that's a good point. The Disney police probably cleanse the area in the evening. I stayed in Anaheim. My hotel overlooked the Angels Stadium. Why I was there doesn't matter.
Jesus, what were you doing to those angels?
I was working.
Yes.
In part number 4, entitled Dearly Beloved, he seems to not be able to tell the difference between disability and happiness. Now, again, folks, this is not our language. Trigger warning, I guess. Just go ahead and fast forward. I'm sure I won't say it more than a couple times, but he sings, "Oh, therapy, can you please fill the void? Am I retarded or am I just overjoyed?" What is he saying? Do you know?
No, I think obviously 2004 you could say retarded all you wanted and no one gave a shit. Now they would clearly lose their liberal credentials.
Well, yeah.
So they probably have to bleep that out if they play it in concert.
They bleep it out in the music video.
Really?
They don't
Interesting.
bleep it, it's
Or
just
drop.
Yeah. That brings us to the last part of this song, Tales of Another Broken Home. Now, this is where I have a very strange sounds like.
Is it Johnny Cash?
God damn it. Yes.
Yes!
He sings to run away, which is identical to love is a burning thing. But then in the next verse, after sounding identical in cadence to that very, very popular song that is not credited, he says, "And I leave behind this hurricane of fucking lies and I walked this line." Does he know what he's doing? Is he mocking me?
I think so, because after this, the guitar is almost, but not quite playing Ring of Fire. It's like...
it's not quite the...
Right, but it's so
not quite
goddamn
there.
close. They wanted you to think that's what it was while still remaining legally distinct and unsuable.
Right.
Here's the really terrible part for both our listeners and for us. We're only 2 songs into this fucking thing.
Yeah, but they're not all 9.5 minutes.
True, but there's gonna be more of those.
Track number 3, Holiday.
I don't hate the intro of this song. It conjures up memories of older Green Day. It's fast, it's upbeat, but then the lyrics kick in, and it is not great.
No, I'm very confused as to what this is. He says, hear the sound of the falling rain coming down like an Armageddon flame. I assume this is war.
Sure, and I have a genius annotation that will explain all of this, but...
It will explain all of this?
Yes.
Fantastic. Is this when we stopped letting cameras film the dead as they returned from Iraq? He says, there's a flag wrapped around a score of men. Hey, a gag. A plastic bag on a monument. I don't know what that second part's about. I guess maybe gagging or putting a blindfold on late. Oh, she already has a blindfold. It's blind justice. You know what? I don't know if I necessarily get the foundational metaphor of this country.
Yeah, I don't really understand the end of that. But we can move on to the bridge, the most ridiculous part of this album.
Oh, wow. That's saying a lot, but please,
go
ahead.
The representative from California has the floor. Sieg Heil to the President Gasman. Bombs away as your punishment. Pulverize the Eiffel Tower who criticize your government. Bang bang goes the broken glass. And kill all the, trigger warning, fags that don't agree. Trials by fire setting fire. From this I'm to take. George Bush is literally Hitler, and we're bombing Paris for disagreeing with our national policy.
Possibly just to get back at them for not embracing the concept of freedom fries?
Yes, okay, of course that's what it is. Because I have that exact
I want to
same
be
thing.
clear. We are not George Bush apologists by any means either. In fact, most of the people that have run this country for the last, 40 years have been monsters, except for that lovely, lovely man, Jimmy Carter.
Yes, he was nice.
But
I liked his sweaters.
Still is nice, Tim.
Maybe not for too much longer, Garrett. He keeps falling and fracturing things. He says he's at peace with death, though, so that's good.
Like 3 days after he cracked his pelvis, he was up giving speeches and building fucking houses. That's an American. Sorry, this is not about Jimmy Carter.
Right.
My point is that this is way over the top.
Right. We both probably, to some extent, agree with Billy Joe Armstrong, although I would argue that I don't think he has much of a handle on what exactly his views are. For example, this band was really cool with Obama, admittedly during Obama's first term, so he may have changed his tune, but Obama, better than Bush, but only marginally so, with the drones and the Flint and the whistleblowers and the immigration, etc.
Yeah.
But he was like much cooler than Bush and less obvious about it.
Yeah.
But the real problem is whenever you go this big, if you exaggerate to this degree, one, you're by definition wrong because you're just way overplaying your hand. Two, when something worse comes along, and it will, and you know it will, you don't have an accurate way of describing that worst thing because we've already used Hitler.
Yeah.
Bush is Hitler. Fast forward to 2016, 2019. Don't really have a
Super
word.
Hitler?
Yes, hyper Hitler.
All hail, hyper Hitler. Like at the end of Ninja Turtles when Super Shredder gets covered in the goo.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry, the end of Ninja Turtles 2. Yeah.
But again, we also shouldn't blow our rhetorical load on Trump because he is almost certainly not going to be the worst whenever everything's said and done. We've still got Presidents Kid Rock, K-Way, Rosie O'Donnell, and then after that, maybe President Duck Dynasty.
Ooh, yeah, all of them.
We're fucked, Garrett.
Well, I don't know what I will refer to myself as, but I do intend to throw my hat into the ring at some point.
Garrett, you will one day sit upon a throne of skulls and look down at the ashes in the scorched earth before you and say, hey, there's no one to worship me, but here I sit on the throne of skulls. And I assume you will also have a crown made of someone's skull.
Probably
like
yours.
a big guy. No, my head's not big enough to make a crown out of.
That's fair.
Yeah, anyway.
I just assumed I'd have you like on a little leash or something.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
What? Okay, never mind. You're way too into that idea. Jesus Christ.
So Billy Joe Armstrong did a interview in May 2009, so he's had some time to reflect. And he says sometimes he doesn't know where he gets the songs from. For instance, when he found himself singing Sieg Heil to the President Gasman, on this number he freaked out and said, it was kind of like, where the fuck is this coming from? It was taking an ugly picture and painting it even uglier. The thing that justifies it, he is quoted as saying, is that it was true.
Again, folks, there's levels to this. You cannot go all the way to 11.
We still have President Duck Dynasty in our future.
I'd like a new word, because I thought about like king or ruler or your highness, but like I want like a new word, his grandness.
Yeah, you are grand.
Or maybe like a new word entirely, like you will refer to me only as Le Costier.
Oh, I like that.
I am the leader of this great planet. I am its Le Costier.
Yeah, you are.
I'm going to be so disappointed to learn that's a word.
Oh, it definitely is. Everything's a word, Garrett.
Not Kaffeegeschlagen.
It is, Garrett. Do you want to know what it means?
Tape recorder.
Oh, yes. Track number 4, Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
This is inspired by the Hulk TV show. I walk a lonely road, the only one that I've ever known. Don't know where it goes, but it's home to me, and I walk alone. Bill Bixby, you son of a bitch, when will you ever find a home?
No one knows what you're talking about, but you are 100% right.
I loved that show. Easy, man. Easy. You're going to get Gino. Don't get him a tissue. Don't get him a... Oh, my God. Damn it, dude.
Now I'm crying and stung by bees.
At least there's one good part to this.
No, Garrett, he was so alone. You don't have a fun fact, do you?
I do.
Oh, goddamn.
This is a really interesting fun fact.
Ugh.
Mike Pritchard, Tim. Do you know who Mike Pritchard is?
No.
He's the bassist for this band, but he goes by the name Mike Dirnt. On purpose.
Too.
What?
Dirnt.
He got this name in high school when he would constantly play air bass guitar while singing Dirnt, Dirnt, Dirnt.
Oh, God. This has been one of Garrett's made-up fun facts, because there's no way that's true.
100% true. Now that is humor, y'all.
That's amazing. This song is Wonderwall, kinda. There's a really good mashup. I would recommend it is this song and Wonderwall playing simultaneously, and it is perfect. I think that this song is as bad as the high school graduation or funeral song. I've just heard it fewer times.
I agree.
And I think that this might also be akin to your high school poetry. I bet that you walked a lonely road in high school, no friend but your shadow, wishing someone would find you, but committing yourself to that lonely path until that time, changing your ideas and phrases just enough from Tom Petty, Neil Diamond, or Johnny Cash songs to be able to claim that this is an original thought, repeating the same thing over and over again until it becomes memorable or meaningful.
This does not represent me. God, you're describing me like fucking Peter Pan. No friend but my shadow, hoping someone will come along and raise me.
I'm describing you like Boulevard of Broken Dreams. And also I'm describing you like your childhood was. This song seems like it was created as part of a bet to see if they could create a brand new but somehow already worn out cliche.
It's like the first time you hear it, you've heard it before, but not in a good way.
It did sell 5 million copies. It won a Grammy for Record of the Year. And notably, and not for the last time on this album, charted on the adult contemporary chart because they are a punk band who plays for the kids.
Okay, I'm going to give them a compliment, which is crazy.
You love the song.
No, what?
This song is meaningful to you because
of fucking idiot. It is a well-produced song.
That's fair. A lot of this is well-produced.
Yeah, in fact, most of it is not bad.
Produced.
Right.
To be clear.
I gotta say, I watched a lot of music videos and stuff for this. They look so sad in eye makeup at 45.
Well, yeah. Garrett, wearing mascara is great whenever you're 25. It's great when you're 32. It's great whenever you're making American Idiot. It's great whenever you're going to work as a 34-year-old even. But you get above 34, it's a lot to do. You got to put it on in the morning. You got to touch it up throughout the day. You got to
touch it up.
Garrett, I dress up.
Do you think he has a little compact he goes into the men's room and
yes, I do.
Lord, get it together, man. Okay, this brings up an honest question. What age did he need to stop so that he could stop forever? I feel like 35 is a little late. At that point, it's your thing. But 25, you could be like, yeah, I did it as a kid, whatever.
25 is way too early to stop. What you have to do, yeah, absolutely. You got to go past that. You got to pick a moment. So you pick Y2K. And while all those computers are rampaging through the world, you just lose it. And then everyone will be so distracted by the computer Armageddon wreaking havoc upon us, they just won't even notice. And then you come back and they'll be like, he looks a little weird, but maybe he's just weird looking dude.
Yeah, Y2K'd.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That could be another thing. Maybe it was all digital. He could make that argument. That was projected on and the computers.
The calendars all think it's 1900, and so his digital eye makeup disappeared. He's not a Terminator, you weirdo. Track number 5, Are We the Waiting?
This is borderline horror movie territory. And screaming, are we? We are. Are we? We are the waiting. God, what the fuck is this?
I think it's about some sort of army he's assembling of the forgotten malcontents of America.
Oh, I assumed it was a description of purgatory.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is what it's like, Garrett. You're just sitting waiting. That's the problem. There's no clock on the wall. You can't be counting down time. Oh yeah, no, it's been 100 years and you look at your fucking watch, it's only been 15 minutes.
You take a number, but no one ever gets called. Why did I take a number if nobody ever gets called?
See, that seems fun. You get to investigate.
No, you're trapped in a room.
Oh, yeah.
It's hell, Tim. Nothing about it's fun.
It's not hell, it's purgatory. Forget-me-nots and second thoughts live in isolation. Heads or tails and fairy tales in my mind. Are we? We are. Are we? God damn it. I hate this song so much.
Track number 6, St. Jimmy.
It's weird to not meet arguably the second build character for a third of the album. What's even stranger is we're still a couple songs away from meeting that love interest. You know, it's really becoming obvious that he just didn't write a third act.
Well, thank God for us, because this might have been a double LP in that instance.
Oh, God.
Imagine Corey Feldman, but it's just all this shit.
You know what? Better than Corey Feldman, but yeah, no, I get your point.
I don't know, man.
Yes, better than that.
Okay, let me just say one thing about it, okay? Ascension, Millennium.
You know what? I take it all back.
I thought you might. Has he come to destroy society, Tim?
Yes.
His name is Jimmy, and you better not wear it out. Suicide Commando that your mama talked about. King of the 40 Thieves, and I'm here to represent the needle in the vein of the establishment. That last line is confusing.
Well, it doesn't need to mean anything, Garrett. It sounds cool.
It's just a song that he called a musical.
It sounds cool. That's all you need. He does reference a zip gun. You familiar with the old zip gun?
That sounds familiar.
It should sound familiar, Garrett. It's an improvised handgun.
Why should it sound familiar?
San Francisco.
That is the most ominous thing you've ever said to me.
San Francisco, Garrett. You flew there. No. You rented a car. You can't take an actual handgun on an airplane. What do you do for a job?
It doesn't matter, Tim. It was years ago.
I'm the patron saint of the denial with an angel face and a taste for suicide.
I think it's a taste for the suicidal.
Oh, yeah. It's a taste for suicidal. My name is St. Jimmy. I'm a son of a gun. I'm the one that's from the way outside. I'm a teenage assassin executing some fun. I can't fucking read this song because it's so poorly phrased. I'd really hate to say it, but I told you so. So shut your mouth before I shoot you down, old boy. Again, that's kind of sounds British. He thinks he's British.
Do you think he thinks he's British?
I do.
Thinks we think he's British.
Yeah, that's a good question. Has he bought his own bullshit? Is British his St. Jimmy? Or is he just like, man, I'm pulling this shit off. I got the eye makeup on just like the British wear.
Well, we figured it. Every proper British gentleman does heavily apply mascara to his face. Listeners, write in. Does that sound right to you? We get a nice little Travis Bickle reference, which can I just ask, can we not? I know that this album's not very good, but we get an Are You Talking to Me? Can we just stop the Are You Talking to Me references in all film and music?
What about podcast?
Oh, no, I think that medium is still ripe for it.
Okay, great. Because I do a podcast where I just ask, are you talking to me? I'm standing in front of a mirror, and sometimes I pull a gun on the mirror, but no one can see that because, as you have made very clear, audio-only medium. But people can listen to it.
Mm-hmm. That's Are You Talking to Me, released every, Thursday?
No, I do it on Fridays, because that way I get the whole weekend. No one else is releasing stuff over the weekend.
Right. You know why that is?
Because no one's listening to stuff on the weekend.
Well, no one's listening to your thing at all, so...
That's rude. Welcome to the club and give me some blood. I'm the resident leader of the Lost and Found.
So he might be like the leader of some sort of homeless and or forgotten army of youths.
That need blood.
Well, they don't need blood, Tim. He needs your blood.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Blutwurst.
No. You think he's making human sausage?
Garrett, I don't know. I've never had anyone ask for my blood. Well, that's not true. The times I've had someone ask for my blood and I've given it to them, I never saw what they did with it.
Well, that's good. You don't want it back.
Yeah, you just give it to them in a Ziploc bag and they take it, they go into the other room, you come out and that bag is spotless. It's clean. There's not even any residue, and they give it back to you and they say same time next week and you say yes and you come back and you do it again. What are they doing with my blood, Garrett?
It's none of your business.
Garrett?
Yep.
I know that's you. What are you doing with my blood?
I'm not in the other room. In this song, is this where he becomes St. Jimmy, or are we just learning about St. Jimmy?
Unclear. I think St. Jimmy is has always been there. He just has never really let him out and become. He's been this mild-mannered, if dissatisfied suburban kid, and now he's really got that eye makeup on and he's going to the city, Garrett.
Right. Do you think going to the city is the holiday we heard about and then he walked down the lonely road to the city?
Oh, maybe.
I mean, I'm
Perhaps
trying
these
here
are just directions from East Bay to San Francisco.
I mean, you can literally see it the entire time. Well, which way is it? Do you see the city? Yes. Well, towards that.
It's a bit of a swim. It's cold water.
No. Take the bridges.
Track number 7, Give Me Novocaine.
Drain the pressure from the swelling.
The opening to this was vaguely reminiscent of like a Yoshimi reject.
Oh, yeah.
It vaguely sounds a little bit like Do You Realize, just the opening, and then that quickly goes away. Novocaine, Tim. Are we talking Novocaine, or is this a clever euphemism for, of course, what you and I suspected, or at least what I suspected to be, heroin?
The second one. He's not the first person whose dentist has got him hooked on heroin, and he won't be the last.
Certainly not. Those teeth jockeys are out to ruin America.
Yep.
So Jimmy's in the city and he's drugging Jesus of suburbia so he can take over, maybe?
Sure, yeah. You get somebody addicted to drugs, you can live in that body. Take it out for a spin.
Well, I don't think so. What does that mean?
So, like, let's say you're sharing a body with another person. You get
can't wait.
that
Stop.
person to...
No, you got to stop. What do you mean by that? Sharing a body with another person.
Okay,
What is-
your consciousness is fighting for control of a body with someone else's consciousness. Do you understand now?
Is that happening to you?
Not now.
Because
I killed that guy with heroin. I don't know what this is, Garrett. Take away the sensation inside. Bittersweet migraine in my head. It's like a throbbing toothache of the mind. I can't take this feeling anymore. Drain the pressure from the swelling. This sensation's overwhelming. Give me a long kiss goodnight. Tell me I won't feel a thing, so give me that Novocaine. Garrett, he is making a strong case for heroin.
Sure. And arguably a drug that doesn't need a big introduction.
None of them do, Garrett. They all do what they claim they're going to do. They get you real high.
I don't know about all that. So is this Jesus again? And if so, why is he such a goddamn sad sack? He says, out of body and out of mind. Kiss the demons out of my dreams. That's all right. Jimmy says it's better than here.
Jimmy is trying to goad him into heroin use so Jimmy can take that body out for a spin.
I assumed, Tim, in reality, somebody with multiple personality disorder couldn't have a full biological recovery to drugs when they switch personalities.
Probably not.
I think that would be definitive proof of such a syndrome.
Okay, well, listeners, do you have multiple personality disorder? If so, we, in the studio right now, have a big bag of heroin that we are...
We don't really want to.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's
Tim,
fair.
what's
That's
rule
fair.
number 1 about the heroin?
Don't talk about the heroin.
And rule number 2, just real quick. We don't do the heroin
Alone.
There it is.
Oh, yeah.
And by heroin, of course, we mean Novocaine? Is that legal?
Yes.
It
It is, yeah.
recreationally use at home with a friend?
It's akin to the...
It's not.
What?
It's not.
Oh, well, no, you can't do that. Track number 8, She's a Rebel.
Resistance, and she's holding on my arm like a hand grenade.
8 songs in, we finally meet the female character of the album. That's not very woke.
Oh, wow. I am curious, Tim. Who is meeting her? Is it Jimmy or is it Jesus?
Could it be both? Could this be a third personality cropping up?
Oh, my God.
Because she's a free spirit, it sounds like, but she also might
She's
be...
not Dharma of Dharma and Greg, if that's what you mean.
No, she's not the sort of person that would stand on a table.
God, what a free spirit.
She also might be a dangerous nightmare. The chorus here is, she's a rebel, she's a saint. She's the salt of the earth, and she's dangerous. She's a rebel, vigilante, missing link on the brink of destruction. I don't think he knows what vigilante means. I kind of hope he at least thinks it means something different than Toby Daddy thinks it means.
Wait, what?
Well, Toby Daddy is out there lynching, I don't know, a politically correct way of saying this, the non-whites, or at least he is advocating that become the case.
I think the common plural nomenclature in 2019 is people of color. It doesn't sound right.
It doesn't.
But I think it
All
is.
right. We also
Right.
get some listing of places, but at least it's brief here. From Chicago to Toronto, she's the one that they call old what's-her-name. She's the symbol of resistance, and she's holding on my heart like a hand grenade.
Okay. I thought when I listened to this that she was a groupie.
Could be.
And all of the bands from Chicago to Toronto have had old what's-her-name.
Let me propose this to you, Garrett. What if she is another personality inside of this body who is asleep whenever one of the other people is awake? Because verse 2 starts out, is she dreaming what I'm thinking? She's asleep in there whenever he is awake and, moving around before he's had his heroin and goes to sleep to let one of the other people up.
So are you saying when I sleep, someone is living the life that I have in my nightmares?
No, not necessarily.
That's a shame.
It's not. That
I don't
would be
know why
a
that would bring
horrible
me
life.
peace. Yeah, I don't know why it would bring me peace to think that every night a man has to go to work and be eaten by an 18-foot clown.
I'm
And
sorry, what are you dreaming about?
Not every night, but often my dreams will end with me being, while alive, uncooked, placed on a giant plate, and an 18-foot tall clown eats me with a knife and fork.
Oh, okay. As long as he's using a knife and fork, I think that's not weird.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
She sings the revolution, the dawning of our lives. She brings the liberation that I just can't define. Nothing comes to mind. She's gonna get him killed.
The solution to violence, in this case, the violence of war and the violence of a nation and the violence of its leadership, seems to be solved only by more violence?
Yes, almost always.
Oh, then it's violence all the way down.
Sure, yeah. Violence is very effective. That's why people use it.
I'm going to have to give it a go. You know what, Tim? I'm going to start using more violence.
Please don't. I am slapped by you on an almost daily basis.
What's your point?
You did this whole bee thing so I would get stung by bees.
Yeah.
And so you could read your incredibly long fun facts.
That dirt one was short. But yeah, no, the whole point of this was to get you all stung up by bees. Because you, unlike me, not allergic, but, you still swell up something fierce. And I know it stings. And for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, bees drawn to Tim.
Oh, yes. It's because I rub myself in honey every morning.
I'm sorry. What?
It's good for my skin. It makes me, it gives me a good glow, I think. Always
okay.
looks like I'm wet.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up because I didn't know how exactly to phrase it, but you nailed it. This explains a lot of the stickiness, a lot of the wet.
Well, it's not really wet. I just look wet. It's like having hair gel in your hair, but on all of my body.
Or honey.
Well, no, it is honey, but it's like hair gel. It's a metaphor, you idiot.
I don't think you needed one.
Track number 9, Extraordinary Girl.
Sees a mirror of herself, an image she wants to
I like the intro to this song.
Yeah, sort of an African bongo thing.
Yep, it's a tabla.
I'm sorry.
Tabla. It's the instrument playing. It's an Indian
I don't think so. I
drum.
think it's a drum.
Yeah, it's an Indian drum.
No.
I don't like this at all. I've done the research. You haven't done
Tim,
the
I already said
research.
bongos. I already said bongos. It's
Oh,
bongos.
God damn it. According
Is the
to...
tabla a bongo?
Well, it's an Indian drum that can be played with the hand, but no, it's not exactly a bongo.
That sounds pretty racist. Can you say Indian American?
It's from the country of India.
Right. They're Indian American. All right, I'm sorry.
I like this. According to Genius Lyrics, this section may represent Jesus and What's-Her-Name's courtship phase, which may or may not include them making love to each other. Genius Lyrics, After Dark.
You know what? We've read a lot of Genius Lyrics annotations. That is the least After Dark one you've ever read.
I got some others coming.
She's an extraordinary girl in an ordinary world, and she can't seem to get away. So I assume this is, what's her name? What does he mean get away?
Oh, she can't leave the body. So she is stuck with the two of them because she is the same person.
God damn, Tim, this is really starting to come together. I am really impressed with this. You know, Tim, if this extraordinary girl, aka what's her name, and Jesus and Jimmy are all in the same body, and there's a chance that they all have sex, 2 questions. Is that a threesome, and are you just masturbating?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know this. While having a threesome, you can masturbate.
Sure, Tim, you can masturbate at any time. It's
That's
still
the
a threesome,
shirt.
even if you're not inside someone.
Okay.
She sees the mirror of herself, an image she wants to sell to anyone willing to buy. She seems to be promiscuous.
No.
What do you mean, no?
She wants to get out there. She wants to put her best foot forward. She wants to sell herself the image that she wants to put out in the world for anyone who's will. Oh, okay. I see.
Yep. Yep. Because
It was
she has
the
low
third
self-esteem. She will bang anyone who will pay attention to her. Now, Tim, I have have notoriously low self-esteem.
You do.
Am I promiscuous?
You are.
Oh, I was really expecting a hard no there. I don't know what promiscuous means.
Oh. Well, you are.
Cool.
Good old promiscuous Gary.
All right, I don't think this should be on the internet.
Gary
In
the Promiscuous.
No.
No, that sounds like
What
it's
did
like
I
your king's name, right? You're sitting on top of that throne of skulls. Right behind you is this big sign that says Gary the Promiscuous. So everyone that comes can really just know who you are. And, I'm on
Knowing
a
I'm
leash
down for
apparently.
a quick suck and fuck
Oh,
and get on
Jesus
with it.
Christ.
After dark.
All right.
Jesus,
I
Tim.
am-
Could you please keep us on track? Thus far in the song, they seem to be getting along just fine. And then you get She's All Alone Again, wiping the tears from her eyes. Some days he feels like dying. She gets so sick of crying. Are they breaking up or are they fighting for control of a body?
Well, they can't really break up because,
Why is
again,
that?
you have to pretend to kill yourself and shoot yourself in the cheek.
What about some hemlock?
Oh, yeah,
Just a
hemlock will
little.
do it.
Okay, I thought so.
Ayahuasca will do it too.
Oh, ayahuasca will do a lot.
Yeah, you'll vomit that extra personality right out.
Track number 10, Letter Bomb.
The bastard's gone. The underbelly's
This is technically a continuation of the last song. It is on the same track, but the audio cuts out, and then we get this weird sing-songy nursery rhyme intro by Kathleen Hanna of Bikini Kill. She says, "Nobody likes you, everybody left you, they're all out without you, having fun."
Yeah, that reminds me of a song and I cannot remember what it is.
They do this throughout the rest of this album. They have this kind of refrain coming back, the "nobody likes me, everybody hates me, think I'll just go eat worms"
Oh,
thing.
guess I'll eat some worms.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Childhood.
Right.
All those worms I ate.
I think we're already at the breakup of Jesus and what's her name, and then it kind of veers into political commentary, maybe? I don't know.
Seems like a stretch. Where have all the bastards gone? The underbelly stacks up 10. Wait, what?
Yeah, I wrote it down and I don't know what it means. Oh, here's a part that makes sense. The town's bishop's an extortionist, and he don't even know that you exist. Standing still when it's do or die, you better run for your fucking life. No, that doesn't make any sense.
Strike the fucking match to light the fuse. Okay, I think that is suicide or rebellion.
Could be.
Rebellion.
Yep.
Rebellicide.
Okay, but before that, here's where this makes sense. I figured it out. I got the Rosetta Stone for this song. Where have all the riots gone as the city's motto gets pulverized? What's in love is now in debt on your birth certificate. No.
I thought it might have been about the gentrification of Times Square.
Oh, maybe. He did go to New York City for a month before this was written.
Oh, you're right. He was looking for whores and jerk booths, and all he got was the M&M store and a Olive Garden. They ruined that fucking place.
Yeah.
What kind of
M&Ms
tourist
are good, though.
Sure, but you
'Cause
don't
they're
need to go to a
fresh.
store that... No, they don't make them there. It's the same ones you get at CVS.
Oh, God damn it. Why have I been going to New York to get M&Ms?
I've been telling you this for weeks.
Huh.
And then every time I try to explain it, you go, yeah, I know. But it turns out you didn't know.
Well, but I've got all those bags of fresh M&Ms under my bed. I was going to sell those for a huge profit. God damn it.
Yeah, you're just going to have to eat them.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so there's a silver lining. The middle eight of this song has some lines that, again, make me think this might be arguing of different personalities housed in the same body. You're not the Jesus of suburbia. The Saint Jimmy is a figment of your father's rage and your mother's love. It sounds like, because of the trauma of his childhood, he has created the Saint Jimmy Fonzie character to hide inside of whenever he is really just an American idiot, and sometimes he is a lady named what's-her-name. Boom.
I think you're right.
Oh.
I think you're 100% right.
Did not expect that.
However, Tim, let me just pose a slight tweak. Let me read it one more time just so everybody's really soaking it in. You're not the Jesus of suburbia. The Saint Jimmy is a figment of your father's rage and your mother's love. Made me the idiot America. What if he is not Jimmy? He is not Jesus. She is old what's-her-name. She is personality prime.
Oh, I like that.
She is a product of her father's rage and her mother's love. And she created Jesus of suburbia while living in the small town that she grew up in. And then when she took that lonely road up to the big city on her holiday, that's when she transforming from Jesus to Jimmy.
I don't get it.
No, nobody gets it.
Okay, fair enough. They do seem to break up at the end of this song, though. She said, I can't take this place, I'm leaving it behind. Well, she said, I can't take this town, I'm leaving you tonight. How is she going to leave, Garrett? She can't leave.
Hemlock.
Oh, yeah.
Pour it right in that ear. And that brings us to track number 11, Wake Me Up When September Ends.
summer
Did you watch the embarrassing music video? I'm sad because this would have been an excellent song to do a PP soda on, Gerald.
Did you call me Gerald?
No, I think you're just hearing it at this point. It's odd. It features a couple. The guy is played by Jamie Bell, and he promises to never leave Evan Rachel Wood, but then immediately joins the Marine Corps and gets sent to Iraq, gets killed, spoilers. And this is intercut with Evan Rachel Wood, who was actually dating Jamie Bell at the time, would later get engaged to Marilyn Manson and then marry Jamie Bell.
Who are these people, Tim? What are you talking about?
Lying in a field, and it is terrible.
Okay, what you didn't mention in all of that was all very accurate. But one thing you left out is the terrifically bad acting.
Oh, yeah. Well,
throughout. It is so cringeworthy. I've never had to fast forward a music video out of just sheer embarrassment for the people that star in it. You know, there's a short version and a long version.
Yeah, the long version, the music actually cuts out so you get their dialogue.
Yeah, it's a regular thriller. It is so fucking bad. I was so confused because basically they pledged to never leave each other. It's just a big montage of them kissing and banging and horsing about.
Yeah, sometimes in a like wheat field.
Yep. Did you say
wheat? A wheat field? A wheat. Wheat.
I'm sorry, are you saying wheat or wheat?
Wheat, the second one.
I think we're saying the same thing. And then, of course, as you mentioned, he signs up for the military without telling her, which seems like a great idea.
Well, that's how you do it, Garrett, because they'll just talk you out of it. But you want to serve your country, and so you join the Navy, and then it turns out that they don't appreciate your extracurriculars, and, you know.
They promptly leave you.
Yes.
It does seem a little disingenuous, as though everyone who joins the military will die.
Well, again, Garrett, he's an all-or-nothing guy. Billy Joe, BJ, if you will, does not understand nuance. If you're joining the military, you are 100% going to die.
Do you want to talk about what this song is actually about, allegedly?
Sure. If you want to go through what it's allegedly about, then I've got what it's actually about, and it is
fantastic.
Interesting.
Apparently, this is about the death of Billy Joe Armstrong's father, and I don't want to joke about that. That's very sad. But they do claim that it was written almost 20 years ago, and he finally, in 2004, decided to put it down. I just have a hard time believing that. But basically, he died September 1st, and so he associates all bad or negative things as Septembers.
This is the 11th song on the album. It mentions September in the title. It is about death. His father died of cancer. Now, I am not saying this. People are saying that Billy Joel, with this song, is saying that Americans are idiots, they are a cancer upon the world, and as a result, 9/11. Green Day, pro 9/11. Allegedly, but it does all check out. Now,
it does check out, but I am not saying that. I'm not saying that's true.
Further support of this interpretation that you, Garrett Harvey, endorse intellectually, emotionally, and legally. I have the documents here. I offer up the following.
Take those out.
I offer up the following genius annotation. As much as I know that this song is about Billy's father dying, we must also take into account that this song was released 3 years after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Here comes the rain again, falling from the stars. This could represent the moment when the towers collapsed with the debris raining down on Manhattan. Drenched in my pain again, becoming who we are. There are many infamous pictures and videos from that day when the towers collapsed. A massive debris cloud swallowing half of Manhattan, covering many of the people there. After the dust settled, people were being found with dust covering their body. Yet after the attack, America came together to help all who had been affected. I believe this is what this line is referring to. Garrett, this song is about 9/11, and it is sung from a pro 9/11 position. Again, I do not believe that. I am not saying that. People are saying that, one of whom is Billy Joe.
I do not support this theory. I can't prove it, and we'll go to the transcripts later, but I think some of the time you've been saying Billy Joel.
I have not.
Oh, listeners, write in. Has Tim been sneaking in Billy Joel's?
It's a super slow, super repetitive. It's basically a single verse with minor variations around a chorus. It did hit number 2 in the adult contemporary chart. It's paint by the numbers for this period in Green Day's career.
Sure.
Track number 12, Homecoming, The Death of Jimmy / East 12th Street / Nobody Likes You / Rock and Roll Girlfriend / We're Not Coming Home Again.
We're almost done.
Well,
we're so close.
Garrett, this is so disheartening. We've got 2 tracks left. And one of them is 9 fucking minutes long, and it's written in different sections by people of varying songwriting talents.
Let's get through it then.
Yeah.
The first part, the death of St. Jimmy. Has what's-her-name leaving killed his rebellious spirit?
Yes.
He does blame his parents for creating his alter ego. He says, in the crowd of pain, St. Jimmy comes without any shame. He says, we're fucked up, but we're not the same, and mom and dad are the ones you can blame.
And they don't
Seems
even
like
know that they've also created a third.
Right. And I am not convinced whether Jesus, Jimmy, or what's-her-name is personality prime.
It's not St. Jimmy.
We do know that. It is either Jesus or what's-her-name.
Garrett, this is the worst suite I've ever heard. It's
How many
incredible.
suites have you heard?
17.
Wow, that is a specific number.
Yeah, I keep track.
A high number.
Every time I hear a suite, I have a little line tattooed on my upper thigh. And that number of lines, I counted today 17. But my point is, it is incredibly obvious that this is written by a bunch of different people, and none of these snippets have anything to do with each other.
Yeah, it's just 5 little vignettes that equal up to almost nothing.
According to the interwebs, this is the climax of the rock opera. Jesus decides to return home, and these songs were apparently the product of a single quote-unquote jam session where each member tried to outright the other in a friendly competition.
Let's get into it a little bit here. It's important to note that Jimmy dies here, apparently. Despite what the liner notes say, I would argue this is not a chorus, but he sings, sort of, Jimmy died today, oh. He blew his brains out into the bay, oh. In the state of mind, oh. In my own private suicide, presumably, oh.
Suicido.
For sure. The O's are more obnoxious in the song than I made them out to be. You're welcome. And that brings us to part number 2, East 12th Street. Is this about him getting arrested? He says, Jesus filling out paperwork now at the facility at East 12th Street. He's not listening to a word now. He's in his own world and he's daydreaming.
I think it's a police station. I'm not 100% sure, but
I wonder if it is autobiographical from when Mr. Billy Joe Armstrong was arrested in 2003 for drunk driving and taken to the sheriff's department on East 12th Street.
that sounds right.
Does seem like a weird coincidence otherwise.
Say coincidence again?
Coincidence?
Yeah. So what's her name is left, St. Jimmy is dead, so all we got is Jesus.
This album makes you sound crazy. Part 3, Nobody Likes You. This is the Dirt part. Dirt solo.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
Nobody likes you. Everyone left you. Where'd you go? They're all out without you, having fun. Where'd you go?
Could be that the other two personalities have escaped out into the world and they're all partying, and Jesus is sitting at home by himself.
There's a physical manifestation of the other two conscious I.
Yes.
Consciouses. That's it. Okay, well then maybe it's not a multiple personality thing. It could be more of a being John Malkovich situation in which they have found a secret portal into somebody's physical body.
Yeah, you always think it's being John Malkovich.
I don't think it.
Garrett.
Sure, a couple times. What? No, but seriously, if it makes more sense than the physical manifestation of consciouses.
Yeah, after they leave, where do they go?
I don't know. Where do you go when you fall asleep?
Where do you go where you fall asleep?
Somebody lives your life and it gets consumed T to B by a giant clown.
God, you know, Green Day is very Billie Eilish adjacent. They have a lot of the same themes.
I don't think so.
You just ask where we go when we fall asleep.
Yeah, so Billie Eilish and I have a lot of the same themes.
Oh.
You know what? Just for that... You know what that means?
What have you done?
It means that I get to read fun fact number 2261843. Green Day drummer Trey Cool was enrolled in clown college before joining the band. It's kind of fun, right?
Yeah, that's fun. Clowns are fun.
You know, while I'm here, because
God damn it.
a lot of bees got out, and technically his hands aren't back in that box yet. Quit crying.
His hands are
I'm
so
gonna read
swollen.
another.
I don't know how he's getting his hands out of the box.
That's a good point. I assume just the sheer pain of it all. Fun fact 4448113-A. Though not officially confirmed, legend has it that Trey lost a testicle during a unicycle accident in his youth. The story goes, apparently, that he fell off in a high school stage and landed directly on the unicycle, thus ruining a testy.
As a unicycler myself, I often worry about losing a testicle to my passion.
Sure, and I have repeatedly asked you to please wear a protective cup.
That's true, but you can't get the feel of the seat, which is important if you want to do unicycle tricks.
Absolutely, that is true, but I am really getting tired of you sending me photos in the middle of the day of your incredibly swollen testicles.
Well, I just want to make sure that they're swollen but still okay.
Yeah, and I keep telling you, I don't know.
You usually are much more reassuring.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything about your testicles, and I wish I knew
that's not
less.
true. You know lots of things about.
I know their shape and size most days.
Oh dear.
Because you're sending me pictures of your swollen testicles, and sometimes not swollen. You gross perp.
Part number 4: rock and roll girlfriend, the Trey Cool part.
Is he bragging that he has kids all over the country? He says, I play the shit out of the drums and I can play the guitar. I got a kid in New York. I got a kid in the Bay.
Yeah.
Good?
Well, I mean, if you spread your seed across this great nation, Genghis Khan, I think, was bragging about this kind of thing.
Right,
Banging a lot of ladies, leaving him in his wake. It's a cool guy, Garrett.
He's
conquering. That's a man that could really have had a throne of skulls.
By all accounts, he did. I mean, it's a loose pile, but he sat upon it.
That's just as good to me.
Not to me. But that's the difference between you and I. I seek perfection. Part number 5, we're coming home again. We get we're back in the barrio. And to you and me, the Jingle Town, that's home. I don't like it when Billy Joe Armstrong says the barrio.
No, it seems disingenuous.
Doesn't it? Mm-hmm. I do like it when Beck says the barrio. Fun Beck Barrio side story. One day while hanging out with Jack White, Jack said, boy, I sure wish I knew a mariachi band to do a Spanish version of Conquest. And Beck said, cool, I'll be back in 15 minutes. And acquired a mariachi band from a local courtyard where they were playing outside for money.
That's why you want Beck in your corner, because he's always got whatever you need.
Man, I could really use a kazoo. Here you go. Where did you come from, Beck? I was behind the couch.
Yeah.
I've been here for 3 hours.
Actually, though, not everyone can say this because Beck does, in fact, live behind our couch specifically. So, not everyone has the same experience and relationship with Beck that you do.
What do you mean?
Most people, if they say, oh man, I could really go for a kazoo, nothing, because he's at our house. He's got that kazoo clutched in his tiny little hand, and he's waiting for you to ask for a kazoo.
Did somebody say 2 turntables and a microphone? No. No, nobody did. Get behind the couch, Beck. So you're telling me other people don't I guess that makes sense. Now, granted, he only lives behind our couch 4 months out of the year. So maybe he's rotating to other people's couches?
Well, sure, but that implies that he's only doing this with 3 people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, 3 households.
Sure, of course. But the point is, most people don't have a beckoning whenever they need it.
That's a shame. That guy is super handy. Track 13, what's her name?
The official explanation for this song is that Jesus, after being home and living in normality, having, of course, lost the other 2 personalities, still regrets losing what's-her-name. It's been so long he can't even remember her name. He wonders what happens to her, and the album ends with him still trying to forget her. I think he regrets letting one of his personalities escape and get out there in the world, because who knows what kind of trouble it's getting up to under his name. He should have killed that personality like he did with St. Jimmy.
Again, you keep saying personality escape. What body are they in? Are they ghosts? Is this what ghosts are?
They're probably going into some other body.
And then this whole thing just starts all over again? They just start singing American Idiot until you go insane?
Yes.
Hey, you want to walk down a lonely road? Who fucking said that?
I'm yours now. Now I live inside of you.
Yeah, let's not waste another minute because there is no satisfying ending to this. As you've said multiple times, they didn't finish the album, so why should we bother, right?
That's fair.
Cool. Tim, I'm curious, how'd this thing do?
This did really well, Gare Bear. This is sextuple platinum in the US. It has sold over 16 million copies worldwide. Statistically, you have purchased 2 copies of this album.
What does that mean?
It sold so well that it is statistically impossible that you have not bought this at least twice. It was a #1 album in the US, and on the Swedish Sverigetoplisten, it was a #1 on the Swiss Schweizer Hit Parade, but it only made it to #3 with the Dutch. As a band, Green Day has sold over 85 million records worldwide as of 2015.
Does he own Oakland?
Possibly. It can't be that expensive. We might be able to buy Oakland.
Oh no, it's gotten super bougie.
Oh, has it? That's bullshit.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Fucking bourgeois scum.
Okay, we're using that wrong. Tim, what did people think of this?
Well, Garrett, we have a Robert Christgau review, so we can play the Robert Christgau game.
Excellent. Tim's going to read a review by famed rock critic and psychopath Robert Christgau. It often has very little to do with his opinion or even the album at which he's covering, but Tim's going to read it, and I'm going to attempt to guess what grade or score Mr. Robert Christgau gave this album.
The Robert Christgau
That's the Robert Christgau jingle created by Brett Peterzak. Garrett, if you're wondering what the concept album means, don't labor over the lyric booklet. As Billy Joel knows, even if he doesn't come out...
You definitely just said Billy Joel, you motherfucker. I heard
No,
it. I heard it.
As Billy Joe knows, even if he doesn't come out and say it, he doesn't come out and say lots of obvious stuff. This is a visual culture.
It's a CD.
So examine
music.
So examine the cover. That red grenade in the upraised fist, it's also a heart. A bleeding heart.
This is a Christgau review?
Which he heaves as if it'll explode, only it won't, because he doesn't have what it takes to pull out the pin. The emotional travails of two clueless punks, one passive, one aggressive.
This is hands down the craziest thing you've ever read by this psycho. I thought we were doing Amazon reviews. It's so bad.
The emotional travails of two clueless punks, one passive, one aggressive, both projections of the auteur, stand in for the socio-political content that the vague references to Bush, Schwarzenegger, and the war, not any special war, just war, are thought to indicate. I didn't get that either. There's no economics, no race, hardly any compassion. Joe name-checks America as if his hometown of Berkeley was in the middle of it, then name-checks Jesus as if he's never met anyone who attended church. Sole rhetorical coup, making being called a faggot something to aspire to, which in this terrible time it is. Garrett, what does Robert Christgau think of this album?
C-.
C+.
Ooh, pretty close.
Yep.
You know what? I feel pretty good about it. Yeah. That was utterly insane.
It's a pretty goddamn great one.
That's how we play the Robert Christgau game. Thanks, Tim. That brings us to Amazon reviews. What do you got for us this week?
Well, we have 1,958 reviews on Amazon, 4.2 out of 5 stars on average, 69% 5-star, 11% 1-star. The first one is from the Duke. It's called Awesome, Perfect Condition. Awesome, perfect condition, brilliant sound. I'm 44, my neighbor is 34, my son is 16. Green Day bridges the gap. The poster is really cool to boot. Highly recommend. 5 out of 5 stars. That's from 2016, by the way. This is by RLG. It's called Timeless and Cross-Generational.
What is the deal with that?
I've been a Green Day fan for a while, but I just bought the album after seeing the Broadway show in NYC. It's fascinating how the messages resonate across generations. I teach English to adult immigrants and even played a couple of songs and gave the lyrics to Lonely Road and What's Her Name to an advanced class. What's Her Name was sort of a cultural curiosity to most of them, but Lonely Road resonated with the experiences of many. More proof of music as a universal and sometimes unifying message. 5 out of 5 stars.
Yes, everyone has felt lonely, or everyone's seen the Hulk TV show.
I have one more for you. This is called Why Yes, You Are Green Day. And I'm going to skip some of the beginning of it and just read the last paragraph from this. I suggest you only listen to this band if you rather enjoy hemorrhaging from the brain and dying in a pool of your own blood, or are a prep trying to feel tough, dog. I suggest those of you who listen to this congested filth grow up or solve whatever problem is causing you to need to make up for it by listening to a sold-out, prep rock, uncreative, and possibly tone-deaf band. Please gouge my ears out. I'll thank you later. 1 out of 5 stars.
Boy, don't let that guy hear Corey Feldman. He will straight murder himself.
Garrett, that's not a sellout. Corey Feldman has not sold out. He is being true to himself. It's just that himself is terrible.
Right. Great reviews, Tim. Who's this for?
This is for rebellious tweens and for people who enjoy hemorrhaging from the brain.
Sure. And all of those groups across all generations.
Yes, it doesn't matter if you're 16 or 34 or even 44. You could still enjoy this.
54, get the fuck out.
4, also no.
No, it's not for a 4-year-old. They're not going to understand the fucking social nuances of American Idiot. That brings us to final thoughts. Honestly, Tim, I swear to God, we have done so much more for this than this album ever did for itself.
Absolutely. If you want upbeat punk railing against political and social things, just buy a Bad Religion album. That's what you want. It's musically better. It's written by intelligent people. We need to do a Bad Religion album. Better. I might not hate that band.
Oh, I don't hate that band.
Yeah, but I might hate their albums.
Yeah, that is possible.
Green Day, on the other hand, really needs to stick to writing their dookies or kerplunks or whatever.
I don't think they can write any dookies anymore.
Well, no, writing. Oh, sorry. Writing about their dookies. They need to.
I see.
Yes, poop.
I am super curious to hear the new album. Not like a good curious.
Right.
But I think that it might skyrocket to the top of the charts for episodes we need to do immediately, which will be terrible because we've already Green Dayed so hard.
We might need to do just take 6 months and just get all of Green Day's catalog done.
Just do a Green Day retrospective, T to B.
Yeah.
God damn. That's how people kill themselves or develop multiple personalities.
Hell, we might develop 3-4 personalities apiece, and maybe we'll trade a personality here or there.
I mean, we live in fairly close proximity to each other. It stands to reason,
right.
Much like the common cold, we could share personality. Oh, God.
Absolutely. Sometimes you're asleep, I'm asleep. Joel just kind of wanders over from you to me. He gets inside of me, and now Joel's mine. And I'll give you one of mine. The only
person that saw it was Beck.
And he just played a little harmonica while Joel sauntered into me.
That brings us to the end of the show where we have to ask the all too important question. Do you hate this album?
Yes. God, yes. I might hate Dookie. I hate this fucking band. I've had enough of them for a while. Well, I've had enough of them until we get to the 12 weeks in a row that we review Green Day albums straight.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's going to be awful.
Well, there's those prepisodes in between. Got to pick some singles and B-sides.
What about you? Did you hate this?
Yes.
Yay.
I can't even pretend everybody knows.
Yeah.
It's shit.
We hated it from the beginning, and we explained why for an hour and a half.
Why don't you get it? We hate it.
You could have turned this off after we said we hated it. We already got your download. We got their download. I don't give a shit.
Stop gloating. Jesus, we want them to download it again next week. All right, Tim. That does bring us to the end, though, where I always have to ask, please rate, review, and subscribe. I know you've heard it before, and by God, I mean it. We really need those reviews. We love them. They're fantastic. I can tell you guys are getting out there. They're getting weirder and weirder. Some Texas Toast lyrics need to start making their way into our iTunes reviews. So go out there, hit the 5 stars, get it out of the way, and then start throwing some Texas Toast topics, lyrics, suggestions. Can you put an image in an iTunes review? I dare you to try, but it makes a big, big difference. So if you can get out there, do it. We really do appreciate it. But most importantly, just let somebody know that you like the show, and if you think they'd like it, share it with them. Tell them your favorite episode. Pick something ideally that they know fairly well. It seems to be either if they also hate it, it works, and if they love it, it seems to work somehow. So that's good. You can reach out to us at hatepod.com. Click on contact us in the upper left-hand corner. That we'll ask for an email address. That's just so we can email you back. Or you can reach out to us directly at Album HatePod on Twitter or HatePod on Instagram. You can also get every episode we've ever done, all God knows how many, 100 and something, on our website, hatepod.com/episodes, in all formats streaming. We are not on Pandora Premium. We were we weren't technically declined. We were just not responded to.
That's rude.
Which, you know what? Honestly, fuck them. Yeah. I don't want to be on there anyway.
We're
I don't
coming
even know
for
what
you,
that
Pandora
is.
Prime. We will kill you.
Whoa. Well, luckily, Pandora Prime's not a thing. It's Pandora Premium, but also don't threaten to kill anyone.
Either way.
Once again, Tim, I have to remind you, threatening to kill someone is also a crime.
What about threatening to kill a company?
I think also a crime.
Oh, I apologize then. I did not mean that. That was a joke.
Well, you didn't say a real company,
awesome.
so it works out.
It's probably a real company.
Right.
Just a different company.
For Why I Hate This Album, I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been Saint Timmy.
There's cowboys running through my dreams. Nothing's quite the way it seems. I joined the Navy, got kicked out in a week. My facial features aren't distinct. Try to find some meaning in these songs. The genius is a genius, got it wrong. No, it's a lobster murder sex thing. It's the bleaching of the rear. A full assault on both your ears. The riffs are too repetitive. The lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides. The cover art's a mess. Listen to it for a week. Now that week has passed. It's the Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Gary.